the season started somewhat recently. It's still kind of new into the season, only about 6, 7 games in for each team. But we're gonna go through some teams that have done really well to start off and really bad to start off, and we'll see. Do we think this is kind of exact? Are they gonna look like this for the rest of the year? Are they gonna look like this for the rest of the year, or is it just this is just a bad beginning? They're gonna bounce back. They're still a top 15 team like the Utah Jazz, according to Muhammad. But uh, we'll let's. I'm gonna give you guys the first team. They are the Bulls. The Bulls are 2-5. You think they're 14th in the East? Where do you think is the future for the Bulls this season?
Me personally, I feel like they're gonna blow it up by the end of this year because, well, they have no point guard. They have nobody like
I
that
mean,
we're not
they have a
doing.
Javon Carter. He's a good role player. They have Io and they
Bro,
have Caruso, but they don't have a playmaker. I guess like a traditional point guard.
if you if you think about all the good teams, I feel like they have a great point guard. Like the Celtics have Drew, the Nuggets have Jamal Murray, and who else? The Bucks have Dame. Who else? I mean, the Suns. I guess they have either Devin Booker or Bradley Beal. But I'm just saying, like, have a pretty good like success rate. Like, I feel like you need a good point guard, and it can't be no, like like it can't just be somebody you consider just a role player because he needs to be out there doing his thing. And I feel like just they're struggling with that. Like their point guard issue is just not okay.
I
And
know.
Zach
Hold on,
Levine
hold on.
50 shots, scored 50 points, and they still lost.
The thing is, are you considering Lonzo to be a star point guard then, like an all-star caliber
Bro,
point guard?
I'm not saying he's an all-star. I'm saying he fit really good with that team. I'm saying when he was playing, they were number one seed at some point, and then he got hurt, and now look at him. They're getting, they're
But
getting
not all of
pissed
it is just
around.
due to him being gone though. Like if he just joined, they wouldn't just shoot straight back up. In my opinion, I think a lot of that was part of teams back like in that season, in the beginning, like the Celtics. They started off very slow, and they were just a really hot team that just got even hotter with Lonzo. And I think just adding him in doesn't just solve all the issues. I think not just you, but people in general, when they look at the team, they just think, oh, once they get Lonzo, it's going to be everything's going to be back to normal. It's not going to be like that. And I think even at their ceiling, what is the ceiling for the Bulls with Lonzo? A second round, like probably a second round exit, like a fifth seed.
Yeah,
They probably make the second round. That's like the worst. Like that's maybe one of the worst positions to be is a second round caliber team that like you have no more assets, you can't do nothing else with. So isn't it better just to tank it all? I think they should tank. I think they're going to be the next team to tank. Like last year was, I mean,
exactly.
this year was the Blazers. I think they're going to be the next one. Mama, what do you think? Do you think they're going to blow it up too?
I do think they're gonna blow it up. Um, you know, it's just they don't necessarily, like you said, the best they could be is like a second round exit team. Realistically, like they have a lot of players with potential. Like I think I personally I'm a big fan of Ayo, and obviously there's like Zach Levine, Demar, you know, and but it's just like it's just not working, you know,
Hmm.
in terms of what they got going on. You know, they have two very good players, but like for some reason it's just not meshing together well. And you can't say Lonzo's missing, but Lonzo's a good point guard, but he's not like I don't think he's like I don't think he would be the difference maker for his team to like push them over the hump.
Yeah, it must. They're an interesting team.
Bro, Lonzo is not. I don't think Lonzo is the key. I said a point guard is the key. They need a good point guard, and it can't be a role player as their point guard.
I mean, they had Cody.
What are you considering Lonzo to be? Because when you say not a role player, like there's
He
really good
wasn't a role
there's
player.
point guard there's role players, there's really good point guards, and then there's all stars and there's MVPs. Like, are you saying because when Lonzo's in that really good, right?
I think Lonzo was in that really good category when he played with the Bulls.
You think he was leaning more towards all star or role player?
I think he was just at that middle
Just at the middle.
stage where he needed more time with that team because we don't know. At the end of the day, we saw Lonzo take. I honestly for me, I saw Lonzo get better like at the snap of a finger. Like he left the Pelicans, and honestly, to me, he got way better. You seen him; he was being
I don't think
recognized
he
by
it
the
was just.
league.
I think he still was. really like he did take a step, but a lot of the stuff that he did on the Pelicans, they just didn't really. They're a very weird team. Honestly, they're a very very weird status. But we don't want to spend too much time on the Bulls, so we're gonna go to another team. The Magic are the fourth seed. They're 4-2. Do you think they can make the playoffs this year?
I do. I'm a Magic. Well, let me think about this. Yeah, I think they will. I think they're probably gonna hover around the fourth, fifth, sixth seed for a while. I don't think they're gonna get any better. The reason why I say they might digress a little bit considering they're a younger team, but they definitely have the potential and the like. I see potential in that team
Mm-hmm.
for me. I mean, with Wagner, Paulo, a lot of people aren't a fan of Markel Fultz. I don't understand why, but like I just feel like with that team, the chemistry they have, especially Wendell Carter is underrated. On top of that, like I think they have a chance to potentially playoffs.
I think they're gonna be like a sixth seed. I mean, a seventh seed playoff team. I think like they're gonna maybe play the play-in. Maybe they're even like a ninth seed, and then they fight their way into the playoffs. They're probably gonna lose to maybe the Celtics or something, but I think they can most definitely make the playoffs. Nate, what do you think? Do you think they're making the playoffs, or you think that's too soon for this team?
I mean, it is a young team, and I don't know the way they've been playing recently. Who have they beaten? Matter of fact,
Let me look. Um, they've played. They beat the Jazz. They beat the Lakers. They lost to the Clippers and Lakers. They beat the Trailblazers. They beat the Magic. I mean, they beat the Magic. They beat the Rockets, and then they lost to the Pelicans. So there's some teams that are like the Lakers is a nice win. That's probably their best win so far. But I mean, they're still. I think. I think it is still too soon. I don't think they're going to be a fourth seed. I'll just say that. But I think they're type decent.
for me, I don't see them. I don't see them making the playoffs. Maybe the play in, but I mean, I feel like everybody's just kind of jumping to a conclusion. We just seen all the teams. I feel like they beat the Lakers today. I mean, it was a solid game, I guess, but I mean, Lakers are a much better team, so I'm not too worried about the Magic beating the Lakers one time. Yeah, beating them one time, and then also the teams they lost to, I think, are playoff teams. So
The
of course, I can
Trailblazers are
see
a
them.
playoff team.
No, hell no. But at the same time, you see, like they lost to the. Did they lose to the Trailblazers?
They beat the Trailblazers.
Exactly.
Didn't I say that?
That's what
Hold
I'm
on.
saying.
Did I even say the
They beat
Trailblazers?
teams that wasn't. I mean, Trailblazers. They don't even have their star player on their team. They got Shaden Sharp. And that's about it. And then you know, did they lost to the Pelicans, right?
That was in the preseason. My bad. But
Right.
the teams
I'm just
that
saying.
in the regular season they lost to, because I said they were 4-2. They were the Clippers and then the Lakers. My bad. My bad.
Those are two teams they would have to compete with, and I just don't see them even getting close to those two teams.
But those
When
two
it
teams
comes
are
to
in the West though. It's not like they're gonna be.
is a map exactly, but I'm saying even in the East, they still got players. They still got teams that they got to beat, and I just don't think they're gonna make it over that hump this
Well,
year at least.
I don't think there's that many teams in the East better than them.
The
And
East
then
is very top heavy. I'll say that. It's just like the the Celtics, the Bucks are the two teams that are saying are contenders in the East. Every other team are really good playoff teams like the Knicks, maybe even the Sixers, depending on how they finish the season with the assets they have, to like the Raptors or
Yeah.
something. I'm like, you know,
Yeah, I think like I said, I feel like they have a chance of hovering around the 5, 6, 7 range,
mm-hmm.
or at least.
Look, I don't think the Magic are better than the Celtics, Sixers, Hawks, Bucks, Nets, Pacers, or the Raptors, or the Heat, and the Cavaliers. Who else?
And the Wizards. I don't know.
Hell no. What the hell? I don't think. Honestly, I don't think they're also. I think they're in the same range as maybe like the Hornets.
I don't. I feel like I can see where you're coming from. But I feel like they would just be. They're better than the Hornets. I would say they're better than the Hornets. But
Okay, but at what point are you better though? Like, nigga, you're already 11th. So what?
They're
but
fourth right now. Yeah,
Against shit teams, they beat the Trailblazers.
the Lakers and the Clippers.
they lost to the
They beat the
Clippers.
Lakers.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
this, I guess. I mean,
It's a young team, you know, like, and then playoffs is different. Like at the end of the day, regular season, obviously, like an 8 seed team can go to the NBA Finals, like we saw. So I feel like seeding during the regular season, as long as you make the playoffs, doesn't mean shit if you can perform.
Hmm. But going to the Western Conference, the Grizzlies are the only team in the league right now that have not gotten a win yet. They are 0-6. I think they play the Trailblazers tonight. Uh, how long do you think this is gonna last? Like, do you think they could still make the play-in, maybe, or is it just like they just got to eat these first 25 games, finish the season like I don't even know, try to get a good draft pick, have a bounce back year? What's like? What do you think the the Grizzlies season is gonna look like?
to me personally, I think it's going to be a bounce back year for them next year. I don't think it's going to be a very good season for them this year.
So you think they're gonna be like 13th seed, 12th seed type thing?
I ain't say they're going to be that low. I just don't think they're going to be. I can see them being like 9, 10, like around there.
I don't know. The
Like,
Grizzlies are just they've been.
I think it's the way the team is built. Even if you add Jaw, I don't think it's going to be a great team.
Why do you say that?
Except for, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking of the pieces they have. Obviously, Desmond Bain is cool. You know, Marcus Smart with this team at least. For me, I just don't think it's going well personally. I mean, they're missing their bigs, minus Jared, of course. And yeah, Jaw's missing too, and that's for a pretty considerable chunk of the season.
I think the thing is with them, Jaw's out for 25. Like you said, Brandon is out. Steven Adams is out for the whole season, and
Yeah,
they've lost like Tyus Jones last year. He was a playmaker for them. There's not somebody that can create the offense for the team without Jaw. And like before when Ja was out, they had Tyus, but now that he was a part of the trade, they don't have someone to. They just have a bunch of. I saw somewhere they said someone said that they have a bunch of play finishers, but not enough play creators. Like you can give it to Desmond Bain for the three, but it's easier for him to get an off ball screen or something, and get that three off. You pass him, you know, or get the lob from Jaren, than for them to create it for themselves because that's not really how they play their game. Like they're more
yeah.
the gravity of Jaw. Oh, people try to get him to the run. He's trying to prevent him to run to the rim. He's open for the three maybe once or twice a game. It's just I don't know. The Grizzlies are just weird, man. Because I feel like some people, not I won't say that, but I'm just saying they're just in a weird like they're just very weird. Like they're weird, man. They're weird.
Yeah, I think they made a pretty big mistake trading away Tyus. Considering, if I'm not mistaken, I think his like turnover to assist ratio was like a 0 or damn near 0. Like it was hell low.
I don't think can you have a zero turnover assist ratio? Because
Probably
that
not,
doesn't make
but it
sense
was
to
like
me. Because that means you would get no assists, no ratio. Like no, what's it called? I think, but I know what you're talking about. It was like the ratio was something like 6-0 or something like that. It was like
hell low.
Bro, look, when Ja comes back, I still see them. 25 games is hard to come back from, especially being 0-5 right now. So
0-6.
I feel like they got 0-6. Oh, they lost yesterday, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's 25 games plus the fact that he's probably gonna miss a couple games.
Just due to injury and stuff.
Okay, but look though, based off of last year and looking at the Eastern Conference especially, and looking at the records and what teams were actually the whole league and what teams were making, like playoffs in general with their record, I think the losses that they might take before Ja comes back will be hurt. Like they'll hurt them, but I don't think it'll hurt them to the point where they're not going to even have like a chance of making the playoffs. I think regardless, it's still a playoff team because when Ja comes back, he's a problem for everybody. Like you can't. There's really not a way, and I don't think that a lot of teams even found a way to stop Ja last year. He had a phenomenal season last year, so yeah, that's number one. Number two, Marcus Smart could be that backup. At the end of the day, he's still a defensive point guard, and they might need that. And I think that's what they were thinking. So yeah, they're going to use that. And then also, well, that team is going to be fine. I feel like it's the same really team, but they just lost their backup point guard.
No,
And
this is different. The injuries I think is another thing. That too.
yeah, but Steven Adams didn't play last year either. He didn't even see the court last year.
What?
And then what's his name? Huh?
Steven Adams was getting PT. What are you talking about, bro?
He did not play last year. He was out last year.
He was out for. I'm pretty sure he was out for stretches, but he was still playing.
Steven Adams, I don't think he played last
Let
year.
me look. Let me check. But continue what you're saying. I'm gonna let you know.
And then somebody on the I forgot his name. Somebody else tore his ACL.
Clark.
Yeah, him. He tore his ACL, but he's back now. He just that whole offense is just feel like they recruited what's his name, Marcus Smart. That whole team is just supposed to revolve around John Morant, which is I think that's a pretty good bet. But yeah, I think when he comes back, they're gonna be pretty solid. Like it's not really gonna be an issue for them to pick up. But maybe I'll give them like play in, maybe playoffs.
Mm, I don't know. But he played 42 games last year, so he played some games. So he didn't get nothing, like you're trying to say. But anyways, going back to the top of the West, the Mavericks. Luka's been having an MVP. He's been playing like an MVP. He's 4-1. Let me check the teams they beat. I know they're playing the Hornets right now, but I know they beat the the Mavericks. They've played the Nuggets, who they lost to. They beat the Bulls. They beat the Grizzlies. They beat the Mavericks, and then they beat the Spurs. So, do you think the Mavericks can be their what I say number 3 right now? Are they going to stay at that level or not? Like, are they still can they have home court advantage in the playoffs as a top 4 seed, or is it just like I said too early? You got to see. They're just hot right now. They're going to fall down. The defense just been a little bit better than how it usually is. Maybe because Luka, he's at MVP season. He's not going to be playing almost 40 points per game every night. You expect him to be, 6 or 7.
Yes, I do. I think last year they didn't really have enough time to work that stuff out, and I think they got Jeremy Grant now, or yeah, whatever.
You mean Grant
Williams.
Williams? How am I like Jeremy Grant?
Bro, it's your fault. You keep on messing up with the Williams, bro.
Yeah, I did mix
You're
up with the
doing
Williams.
that too. But anyway, what is it called? I think now that they got Grant, it's gonna be pretty solid for them. Like defensively, they had a really their game against the Nuggets was pretty solid. Like considering the fact that they just started again, and then Denver has been playing with each other for a while. Like they had a pretty good game. Luka had a great game, but it is kind of early. But I do think it will figure it out down the stretch. You never know what can happen in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I think they're probably gonna be like 5th, 6th seed. I don't know. Like they're a good playoff team. I had some issues with Kyrie and Luka. I don't know how that perimeter defense would look. I thought it would be a little bit more shaky, like how it was, but they've been looking solid. Um, Derek Lively's having a nice rookie year. Grant Williams has been good as well. Good for them, and I think they're just a good playoff team. Yeah, I think they're a good playoff team.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. I really see them hovering around their 6. I don't think they'll have any like difficulty making the playoffs, but I don't think they will necessarily go that far in. And the reason why I say this is because like I just think of it from a defensive standpoint. You know, because realistically, most teams are kind of figured out by like the first or second game of a series. Like your whole offensive scheme kind of goes out the window at that point. So I feel like another thing that, but with that also another thing that I realize is that the offensive weapons that they have aren't just your typical offensive weapons. This is Kyrie Irving and Doncic. So like you have to also take that into account, which means they could potentially go further, but I don't see it happening just because of like just how deep the West is possible. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like defensively they won't make it that far in the playoffs, especially like if they're playing Luka and Kyrie. They're not necessarily defensive players. Not by any means are they playing bad this season so far, but like I just don't think in the long run it'll help them go all the way.
I think it's like if they go against, I think kind of what you were saying earlier with the, I forget what team, but like a second round exit, like they're probably a second round exit. But the thing is, they got Luca, who we've seen before in other playoff runs, conference finals when he was playing against the Clippers. He could put up some crazy stat lines in the playoffs. So they had that definitely on their way, and Kyrie's also had some great moments in the playoffs. But I think they're very like they're unique. They're a very unique team. I feel like at this point, and that's one team I was saying it before. I think that's one team I like. I'm very interested in seeing how this whole season plays out for them. But to finish off the segment, we're going to talk about the 76ers. They haven't had James Harden the entire year, but they are still the second seed in the conference, 4-1. What do you think about the Sixers? And we said before we didn't consider them to be contenders. I mean, you guys agree with me saying that they weren't at that top level. They're second seed right now without after trading their second best player. Maybe do some more trades. Are they, what's the likelihood that they make it to the finals, or at least the conference finals?
I personally, I mean, there's definitely a possibility they can make it to the conference finals with exceptional play. Keyword with exceptional play. Other than that, I don't see them making it that far. I can see them maybe being a second round exit as well. That's just my take. I feel like though they're second seed right now, their play is definitely eventually going to dip, considering it's the 76ers.
What do you mean considering it's the 76ers?
I don't know, bro. They just don't really hold it together, like in the long run. You know what I mean? Or am I tripping?
I mean, not really, but uh, I don't know, man. Like
Like for some reason, they always like take a big dip. Pause throughout the season.
they've had some lulls, but right now they've been looking good though. I'll say that. I'll give them that. Especially Maxi. He's the MIP. Honestly, maybe you could even say he's the favorite for most improved player between him or Cam Thomas. Like he's been looking really good. He got player of the week for the East, and I think you got really like that's probably really what led them to trade Harden is because they seen that he was really doing his thing out there, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
we got him.
I was
Maybe
thinking,
I don't think he'll play at that level, but the whole season, but 25, I think he might be able to put up on average.
yeah, I was thinking the same thing as for the reasoning why they would trade Harden is simply because Maxi is kind of coming into his own. But honestly, I don't even see Maxi as like, like for me personally. I know realistically he would be a candidate for most improved player, but for me, he's been playing like this the last kind of like 2 seasons, or not sorry, 2 seasons, like the last season especially, and this season he's been kind of having this going. So I don't really see him as. I don't think it's an improvement. I'm just thinking more people are starting to take notice to it.
I think he's been on the radar since Ben Simmons left. Once Ben Simmons, like I mean, not since Ben Simmons left, but since he was gone and the Sixers, he filled in for the Sixers, and he was kind of that,
Yeah,
what's it called? But he still like improved. Like then he was maybe like 17, 18 points per game, and then Harden came. He was really a playmaker for them. Now he got 20, 21, and then this year, I think he's averaging like 28, 29 on the season. Like he's been showing improvement, but you know, I want to give him that respect right there. But Nate, what do you think about the Sixers, man?
All right. To start off, I'd like to say with a player like Joel Embiid, MVP from last year, you're still gonna have good chances of going far. So that's one thing. And number two, I feel like they've been playing more team basketball, and like their rotations against, especially I was watching the Suns game. The rotations against the Suns game was amazing. Like they were actually putting, like everybody was touching the ball during possessions, and I feel like that's all because of number one, Maxi. He was doing a great job of distributing,
Hmm.
but he was also shooting lights out. Like he was really out there hooping. So yeah, but I don't know. I feel like with Harden gone, seeing Joel Embiid, he actually uh, defended Harden when he said uh, he was the system.
He
And
says,
then
"I'm not
Joel
a
Embiid was
system
like,
player. I'm the system. I could be a system."
yeah, like Joel Embiid was like, yeah, he did a pretty good job of getting our offense started or whatever. But I'm just saying now I'm seeing more team basketball from the 76ers. Like, even Tobias Harris had his time to shine against the Suns. He was making some great plays. Um,
Bro, y'all be sleeping on Tobias, bro. Tobias is not as bad as you guys think he is. I
Nobody
promise.
said he was bad, but he's also not on Joel Embiid's level. Or so it's just like when you have Joel Embiid on your team, you're not gonna be seen as much. But yeah, honestly I think they were, and Kelly Oubre too.
Yeah,
He was
I think all it was. I
and
saw a stat where 4 people on the Sixers are averaging 20, and it was
points.
Kelly, I think Tobias, Maxi, and Embiid. So, like you were saying, it's been a lot of ball movement, team ball,
Yeah,
everyone getting theirs.
I think it's just on any given night those players can actually perform, and it's not just because like they got lucky or whatever. But I just think like their team, like their coaching and their team just has it a little bit figured out to where it's like okay, in these situations we can use this player to do this, and I feel like that's what they were doing against the Suns, and they got the win over them. And yeah, and you see Joel, he's not scoring as much, but he is also playing more team basketball too. So I think with him and Maxi doing that, it's gonna take him pretty far.
I think another thing we forgot to mention as well, their new pickups. On top of that,
Like who? You just want to talk, bro. Why are you saying about them new pickers? You don't even remember. Name one player. We just mentioned Kelly Oubre. He joined the team. That's a new pickup.
Ellie Oubre, Robert Covington.
all the Clippers pickups.
Oh, you could have just said that, bro.
I mean, I thought kind of went without saying, but okay.
No, because when I said what pickups, you didn't say anything.
Nigga was cooked. He ain't know what to say. He said,
He said,
Oh, I thought he wanted me to say Nicholas Batum. That's why.
"Oh,
I don't know why.
why? What's wrong with Nicholas Batum?"
Fourth quarter, why you put Nicholas Batum?